Hey there. Welcome back to the final episode of The Surge.
2 levels critical in shaft C-1230. Initiating containment measures. Please proceed with caution.
Seems like we've sprung a leak. I suppose now that things are nearing their end, for us, for CREO, for The Surge, we have a little bit more exploring left to do. There's some more floors we can explore here in the nucleus, and we can sneak around a little bit to try and find Maddie, although, to be honest, I kinda am starting to agree with Alec after seeing this place. Her chances aren't so high. But I'll give it my best shot. We owe it to him to try and find his robo-daughter. I'm impressed that Alec managed to make it all the way here. Maybe we'll find Maddie on the way back to the loading bay. Because this way is another door that we haven't explored, which will lead us to the rocket payload. Once we stick the virus on it, time will be of the essence, because that rocket's gonna launch on its own damn schedule, as the PA announcement system was very helpful in explaining to us last time. We don't have long, so let's get a move on. We gotta be goal-oriented at this point. Lots of sprinting around, lots of attempts to find Dr. Chavez's contact, and lots of avoiding getting sniped with a railgun by nanobots. I recognize that in the last episode I used the gribbly word a lot, but that's the only way I can think of to describe these things, because they're like independent creatures. Unlike the normal nanobot enemies, the crystallized ones, they're not people that have been taken over. They're independent living entities that can survive on electricity and magnetism and all kinds of other fancy scientific stuff that I don't know how it works. Oh! That man blew himself into chunks! What a mess! Oh, this little section is completely chock full of these insulated hazmat guys, but man, I don't even care. Just let them blow themselves up at this point.
Access granted.
Because over here is the rocket payload. Oh no. I think Dr. Chavez's friend might not have made it. Or well, she did make it, but she didn't have the virus.
Failsafe protocol active. Log mark 14 hours, 32 minutes, 57 seconds. Boardroom Neurovolt Pod 4 Quorum issue Utopia decision unresolved. Utopia payload delivered to Launch Bay 02. Immediate deployment authorized upon completion of Go Boat. Immediate unloading authorized upon completion of No-Go Boat. Priority Alpha request. Security personnel to investigate unauthorized structural alterations throughout the nucleus.
Well, hey, look. On our final project, failsafe log, it seems like we have finally learned why CREO's security got so utterly blown out by the nanobots. Because they were automatically deployed here.
Mom, sorry I've been out of contact for so long. I just wanted to let you know how much I love you and Dad. We've been working on a new project. I can't really say anything about it. But I have reservations. I need you to all go out to Uncle Ricardo's. He's got a shelter. You need to...
Oh. Oh, boy. it seems like CREO was really willing to go along with that whole eliminating 90% of the population thing. That's brutal. Like, maybe that's what they really thought they had to do to ensure humanity's survival. But having seen the immediate effects of it, I can safely say it was not worth it. It wasn't worth it. Oh. So, here's the payload.
Charlene.
And here's
the courier
Charlene.
is heading your way. The program should change the formula and neutralize the Utopia effect. They didn't leave us much time. I can't believe the fools are rushing on something so potentially catastrophic. You know what to do. Upload it as fast as possible and as near to the core as you can risk. I just pray we're not too late.
Oh, don't worry. We're not. Fuck off, Project Utopia.
TG-01. New data has been transferred. Initiating nanite recalibration. Calibration process complete.
Thank God. Well, I suppose we should still try to stop the rocket, for the reasons I mentioned in the last video, but at least that pressure's off us now. Welcome to the launch pad, everybody. It's like hell in here. Oh. Hey, wait.
Log 23. I'm a coward. Either that, or it won't let me. Sitting here for hours, staring at my wrists. The sharp edge of a metal shard pressed against my skin. Hearing the stirring chaos of millions of voices growing louder. They're all over me now. Scratching at the door at the back of my mind. And still, I couldn't do it. I don't want to die. Who does? Am I already a part of it? Aren't they all? I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what will become of me. Will I be part of something new? Eternal? One with the consciousness? Or will I be nothing? Another voice in the crowd. Drowning. Shouting to be heard.
Boy, that's a good question, Doc. I hope we never have to find out. So that ends the story of the Dr. Murphy. It's a bummer for him, but I don't think he was making it out of this situation one way or another. That guy with his arm outstretched towards the penultimate weapon, which we have just picked up. I'm not sure who that is. I think it's intended to be the guy that we saw running away at the beginning of the last episode, before the launch pad sealed itself up. So, there's one area we haven't explored yet, and it's down here, underneath the Ops Center. I wonder if there's a way to get over... Oh no. Oh no! Oh God. Well, that's... I guess the Surge couldn't let us get away without one more emotional pinprick to our psyche, huh?
Freight elevator en route.
Let's maybe not tell Alec. I think once all this is over,
Do you require assistance, Warren?
he'll make it out of here. I mean, all hope is lost in his eyes, but I disagree. I think that if we manage to stop the launch, maybe the nanobots will get under control somehow. I mean, they won't have their hive mind up there out in space. They'll still be running around here, and I think the CREO facility is probably lost at this point, but what other choice do we have, really? We have to see this through. We have to make it to the end. For everyone who's given their lives along the way to help us. And for everybody who we weren't able to save. Let's say we try to save whatever's left at this point.
Out there. Attention. Payload secure. Attention. Utopia is cleared for launch. Prepare for final countdown.
Hello?
I think I've tracked the source of some of our current security problems.
Is it intelligent? Aware?
Honestly, we don't want to hurt you.
But it won't save it.
I recommend termination.
Do you now? Well, whatever you are, only one of us is walking out of this launch pad alive, I think. So fine. No point delaying the inevitable. Let's do this. Let's do it! This horrible monstrosity is the rogue process. This thing is the amalgamation of a bunch of nanobots that are beating the crap out of me, combined with the consciousness of, well, the hive mind, which, as Dr. Murphy speculated, is the combined brains, thoughts, memories, and experiences of everybody that's been taken over by him. And oh boy, it's talkative. We've heard Ferguson, Dr. Murphy himself, Sally, I heard Maddie. There's a bunch of our friends are here. And I suppose they're not gonna let us get away without a fight. This fight's really tough. Even with all of my health, all of my armor. This thing can still kill me in 2 good hits. The gimmick, I suppose, of this fight is that, well, I mean, I guess you can tell by the colors of the thing, but this is our final test of what we've learned from the limb targeting system. We have to disable this thing's limbs one by one so that it can no longer attack us with that limb. I really should have started with the big swipey hand, but I didn't do that because I don't know, I'm just so used to circling around to the right at this point. It's much easier to circle around this boss to the left. We need to drain its health enough that we can electrocute the process via that overcharge circuit. If you try to approach it now, it'll just knock you away. But if we do enough damage, we can zap ourselves and this thing back to reality.
This can't be happening.
Where did he sound this kind of psychotic break?
Something like that. I gotta say, my emotional state is very fragile right now. Warren has been through a lot, and I think he's ready for his severance pay, because, I don't know, if I were him, I wouldn't want to work for CREO any longer, that's for sure. I know I don't. I've had about enough of this place. Enough of exosuits, and enough of Wayland-Yutani policies, and enough of fighting for my life, cutting off the limbs of my would-be co-workers without even learning their name in the break room first. We didn't even gather around the water cooler. Just got right to the chopping. I gotta say, I'm gonna give it a 1 star on Glassdoor.
Fuck you! You hear me?
No, fuck you! Oh!
is a witch hunt.
God's meant to create, not destroy.
So this is it. This is the final stage of nanobot evolution. Humanity is destined to become this. If the rocket launches, if the nanobots take over, this creature is what they think humanity should be. A hive mind entity in the shape of its own creator, using the memories of its own creator to emulate thought and speech. Truly terrifying. But the good news is, it's human shaped, which means we can cut it apart. So let's do that. Fun thing about this boss is that the dialogue that you've been hearing
Closer, please.
is not randomized. The dialogue that you've been hearing is based on the audio logs, the conversations that we have been having throughout the game. If you rush your way here, without talking to NPCs, picking up audio logs and all that stuff, the fight dialogue will be different. The rogue process will be more scientific, talking about how it needs to absorb you and become part of the process and how this is natural evolution. But because we care, because we've been trying so hard to make it through this alive and learn as much as we can about the world and why this has happened, because we've spent so much time here at CREO, this thing is scared. And it should be scared.
Coward and the murderer.
Because I'm a human, and I'm not gonna give up. This is the one thing that the rogue process doesn't seem to understand about humans, is that it took a lot of determination to create these things in the first place. And determination can make you very strong in your time of need. So I'll see you later, Project Utopia. I'll see you later, Rogue Process. And I'll see you later, CREO. It's time for us to clock out.
CREO's been dark for over 4 days now. Launches are continuing, but we've been unable to reach anyone inside the complex. I need you to take a team there, use drones and bots to do the exploratory work, but I want boots on the ground. I want a hardwire link established so we can view the feed as it happens. And get somebody up to low orbit. Our satellites there are picking up an unidentified particulate dispersal from the latest launch. It's inert so far, but it's completely different from their previous payloads. I want to know what it is.
Mr. Secretary, we're in position. Hardline established. We've sent in drone reconnaissance units as per procedure, but we lost contact with them shortly after insertion. Strike team is moving in now.
What the? Captain? Captain! I want another team in there right now! See how they run. See how they run. They said us breathe, breathe, breathe. This is our goal ticket. I'm gonna get my ass out of here.
And so, that does it for The Surge. The Surge is one of my favorite games to come out in recent years, absolutely. It has a very good blend of action, speed, and commitment to your actions, because it rewards you for thinking things through before you dive headfirst into combat. You take a look at your enemy and see what they're wielding, what parts of their body are armored, and your own resources, what you need to get that next upgrade, and your tech scrap, and whether it's even worth it to fight sometimes. The Surge rewards you for thinking through building out your character to a ton of different playstyles that are all viable. The Surge doesn't care what way you choose to play the game. It gives you the tools, and it lets you customize it to the best of your ability, or to your own desires. There are so many ways that you can restrict yourself to certain tool sets, or use a little bit of everything to struggle to survive through a world that is dangerous and also really interesting. The Surge has a story that is buried a little bit, but with a bit of logical thinking and a shovel, you can dig it up and piece it together to form a pretty complex story with a lot of players who are fleshed out just enough that you care about the world that you're running through. If you give the story the attention that I feel it deserves, it'll reward you by showing you why you should care. I'm really, really happy with The Surge, and my experience from being in the beta for one of the DLCs, talking to the developers and the publisher, Focus Home Interactive. Deck 13 and Focus Home love The Surge. They love making video games, and they love people like me who care about their games. And talking to them and spending time learning how The Surge works behind the scenes gave me a fascinating perspective on just what it's like to make a AAA indie game. I think more games like The Surge should exist. More games that are adventurous. More games that dare to reach outside the boundaries of AAA gaming. To touch on things and subjects and methods of creating a video game that are a little bit non-standard, I would say. And I think they were successful. I think they were overwhelmingly successful. And I very much look forward to The Surge 2. Because it can only go up from here. The Surge is a fantastic game. And if you haven't played it yet, after watching this whole Let's Play, you should give it a try. Because the developers deserve your money, and you owe it to yourself to play one of, in my opinion, the best games to come out in the past few years. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you very, very much for watching, and sticking with me while I've been dealing with my medical problems. I'll see you all in the next Let's Play, and I'm definitely going to see you all again when The Surge 2 releases. Take care, everybody.
And as I left, no one tried to stop me. So I learned I was always as free as I wanted to be. I was always as free as a bird. I was always as free as I wanted to be. But I was just